Спасибо, что вы тут сюда пришли. Потому что если это будет по-русскому, это будет вам непонятно. Постараюсь. So, hi. As a backend engineer at Adjust in Berlin. Was at Intel. I was in the step of the chip production just before it goes. This is doing all the tests that things like and things like this. For part of you, because this is and hardware was when I learned computer engineering. And when I moved to Berlin around, and I had to switch into software, city of hardware yet. Maybe it will. And after quite some time learning, Women Tech Makers is a program that I started leading. And this will be the subject of this talk. Handle, and this is the hashtag I like using for tweets. Feel free to use that. Starting with, it's from the MIT Press. On the barriers that women face in undergraduate, such as well-meaning people who reminding students that women can. Let this sentence sink in. Women as men. Is there any difference? Yes. And it's a global program for women in tech. Resources for women in tech to do innovation and participation. Social network for women. This is part of the Google led by Leo here in the Novosibirsk chapter. Of this is to create the social network as a fairly new program. The good thing about it being and this is what you are asked to do as the Women Tech Makers big networking event. You get some budget from the Women Tech venue, and you throw up a nice conference, which would be this will be already awesome. And because you net a social community for something, you have once a year is not enough in my opinion. I asked, can I take my person? Sure, go ahead, do your thing. And I want to tell you about. So cover the startup structure. It's you may know from here, but I'm going to tell you still a month to talk about one of those subjects, to do a workshop. So we were meeting twice a month. A month was a focus on different things. We did front end, we did iOS, we did product management. The purpose of this was step into tech, and you're not sure which tech this year, you're going to have a general idea what you like. Description, backend developer, software engineer. It's that found interesting for you, or you'll be able to make your knowledge more in depth. Had a really nice HR session by a hiring manager, and she was telling us how to look for when you look at a job for you, or maybe actually something that would make you. And also hiring manager, and what would be. And in the end of this year, that had no background in tech did apply as a technical person. This was Java intern and similar things. And that was super nice because, hey, tech. And not only we brought women, we also, even if it's not men, not women, all the people, one of those graduates. That happened on the way, completely unexpected, is that countries and Belgium. So that's Austria, that's and so from having a chapter only in Munich, a chapter already also began. Started by the leads of those chapters today that we were having in Berlin, and they thought that I should have this in my city. And so by in Germany. This so front end, back end, or always fun to know what to expect because and you have your app switching from page 1. All the cycles that, oh, your product manager said you actually things if you want to apply into tech, right? So the pictures of there, this was all in the or the beautiful and some of our swag. And so came year 2. We should learn. So we started doing for Android, our online presence. And we started attending conferences. Bigger companies in Berlin, and the group of people who come to the meetups, who help each other walk around with the and you know, being the community lead, you're like, you lead something is living here. So being once a week. So we had every other week Golang. And it ended up that if you really like learning, you have the Android meetups were, which is the nano degree, and mainly as we were aiming for complete beginners, we had this was around 3 months long session, and people were showing their app. There were also people, and of course we accepted people who want to just learning. The instructors came from, and the nice thing about this is that in the end of the first session of the few months, the 2 of the instructors became the leads for the Android group, which was beautiful because then I could move on and start the Golang study session. The Golang one started, the Android one started in March, and this one started in September, I want to say. And we were doing learning coding principles. We were doing the setting up the environment, getting our heads around concepts like GoPath. And the nicer thing is that in the end, which will be next week, November 23rd, in our graduation event, we're going to show we built the API client that pings a weather server. You write the city name and you get back the weather. So from being a person with no programming background, you wrote this tiny thing that may not look so impressive because it's in the end up just one line of code or of text on your screen, but you understand what is happening. You can explain that my computer pings the server and uses the API to do that, and then it gets back a response into the struct, and this is it going into this field because it's a string, and this is really nice. This is also a humble thing you can put into your portfolio when you go and apply to some job or some internship. And from the group of those instructors, 2 people also stepped up and went to take on themselves the position of being the organizer. And this allows more chapters to start next year. On the side of that, where the online community was growing in many different channels. So of course there was Slack. We had one Slack group for GoBridge and one for Android. The GoBridge is a program that it's part of Bridge, which is let's say kind of a roof organization to teach programming languages for beginners and mainly diverse groups. The purpose of them is to make the tech community more diverse. Florin here in the crowd is one of the core members of the GoBridge group, and he was helping us a lot in doing this in Berlin. And then the second Slack, the ADG, is the Android developer groups in Berlin, and our Study Jam channel there, and the one of the GoBridge is the place where the participants of the course go, and they can ask questions. So let's say you did some classes during the meeting, and you go home and you recap and you don't understand something, or you start doing your own project and you don't understand something, or you're not sure whether I should do this or that. So you just go there, ask, and one of the instructors goes there and, hey, yeah, you should do that, definitely. And that's nice to have this, always someone to ask your questions. Of course, we have Facebook. You should all consider joining our Facebook group and or page, even if you're not visiting in Berlin in any time soon, because we post lots of interesting learning materials, workshops, or reading materials. And this can be helpful just to make your knowledge wider. Twitter, of course. We use the GDG one, because Women Tech Makers is part of GDG. And then there's the International Women Tech Makers as well. And our hashtag is Women Tech Makers Berlin. If you want to see some nice stuff that we were doing, you can just click on this and see all the cool pictures. On GitHub, we have our own repo and things that the participants are doing and want to show off not only for themselves, but in more public forum, they upload it here. So all nice projects that you can, if you want to see, for example, just go there. All those taking notes and writing themselves the links, this will be published eventually, and you're very welcome to go there as well. Yeah, we use Meetup as our main platform, and this is generally a good place to find lots of cool meetups and other interest groups. So the fireside chats, that's a cool thing that we're doing. Who knows Udacity? Who knows Coursera or other platforms to learn? Yeah, good. So the concept is familiar. Udacity started collaborating with Women Tech Makers. And the VP of International, when she came to the office in Berlin for the launch, we had a really nice fireside chat where she was telling about her career and was answering questions and telling from her experience and giving tips. And then the Bubble event was even more diverse or interesting because one of the speakers came from a strong technical background and the second speaker came from science. So she learned linguistics and then she stepped into this company, which is an app to learn languages. And she showed her way from non-tech, but yes, science, into much tech and some science. We tackled also different questions like how to negotiate salary. And then people started sharing their experience. Oh yeah, I learned that my colleague earns more, but I didn't say anything about this. And well, having a group of 20 other women saying, yeah, I know this feeling. It was nice because the dialogue started. And then you got all kinds of tips that you wouldn't just read about and say, well, no way, I actually apply this tomorrow at work. But you actually got tips that you say, yeah, I can try. And the conference presence. We started getting from different conferences like these tickets for women tech makers for the diversity. Because the different conferences in Berlin started acknowledging women tech makers as a big group and crowd that is interesting for them to be participants. And so I'm really proud of this because just the second year already we had a bunch of participants going to conferences to which they would be scared to attend or just couldn't afford. And then you go back and you tell about this experience and you encourage other people to attend meetups and mainly conferences as well. And yeah, we expanded more. Already Thankful chapter is coming up, and next year who knows what will bring. This is Lara. Lara came from Spain, where she graduated their scientific degree. And then she moved to Berlin, started working as a QA, and was generally looking to switch into tech because she wanted to, she saw her husband do Android development. She saw the environment of Berlin being different from the environment in Spain and said, yeah, I'm ready to do some tech stuff. And so she attended our first Android session where she not only graduated, but her app actually won first place in our competition of the best apps. And so she got from Udacity a free certificate to do the nano degree in Android. And this is her happy tweet about, yay, graduated this nano degree. And now at her work, she's being more involved in the different projects. She's actually attending the meetups with the developers, helping them plan, and not only QAing them, not even understanding sometimes what she does. And she's becoming the poster girl for the Udacity Nano Degree launch that will happen in the end of the month in Berlin. And what do we expect for our third year? So, having the Golang established as an independent study group, we can move on to front end. If any of you plan to visit Berlin over the next year, you should reach out, see how you can maybe attend one of the meetings. It's always okay to come, even if you're just coming for one meeting. And then we're going to start the internship collaborations. So it means that not only people who feel brave enough to go and apply will go and do this, but actually it will be also part of the program, which seems sometimes like the push that one may need to go and make this second step of after going and starting to study tech-related things. And I'm trying to convince the dear participants to go and speak in conferences, and the first one already happened. I will show you soon some pictures from there, and collaborate with different chapters, of course, on the plan. Now, the description of this talk was, let's talk about women tech makers, and then let's talk about tips. Let's see what I got. So for beginners, find mentors. What are mentors? Anyone you feel comfortable taking an advice from, really. It can be someone who is a little more advanced, someone who is way more advanced, your gender, another gender, your area of occupation or another area, but someone you can go and say, well, what should I study next? Or should I maybe put my time into some open source project rather than studying some online course? What do you think? Where do you see the industry going? And someone who you can hear his question or her answer and see what you think about this. Maybe you can discuss this, maybe you just take the input, but someone to help you with some guidance. Attend meetups. Why should you attend meetups? so you can learn, so you can get new ideas, so you can meet people. Maybe you can find your next job like this. Be part of a community. Now, community, it can be online, it can be offline. Why should you do this? Not suggesting you don't have enough friends, but maybe what you actually need is some more objective people around you. So there are a bunch of Slack channels with different variations, like Women in Tech or different names, where you can be completely anonymous, and then you have this problem at work and you need someone's opinion. But you don't want someone to tell you, oh yeah, you're right, or that person is not cool and I'm completely on your side. But you need just an objective point of view. You go there, you build your support network, and you go and ask your question. Someone said this, and I think it's really not nice. It makes me feel unpleasant, but does he have a point? Those kind of things you can get only from such communities. And this is not something you can learn by yourself, at least. And this is something that I find that I need people who are disconnected to me to get this type of feedback. And the last point is mixed environments, which can come as a conflict to this entire title, but I really strongly encourage to always learn and work in mixed environments, just because you will always be in such an environment. The chances that you'll work in a company who is 100% people like you is incredibly low. If you're going to start such a company, it's probably a bad idea. It may not work. Why is this not conflicting the title of Women Techmakers? This community is open for all genders. Everybody are welcome. It's being called women because this seems to objectively just make women feel more comfortable attending. I don't know why, but it works, and I'm happy it works. But we always have guys learning with us, and I think it's nice. Because in addition to learning skills like coding, you need to learn skills like arguing with someone who's not like you. And this is things you can practice there. And when you argue, it's not, I don't like what you wear, whatever. It's, I think your idea of implementing this is a really bad idea. But then you still have to have this dialogue. You have to have this at work, and you might as well want to practice this before. This is the enlightenment tips. Write a blog. Anyone here writes a blog? Some people, that's awesome. What kind of stuff do you write in your blog? Let's pretend this is a mic and I'm just going to repeat what you're saying.
Okay, my blog was about technical things. When I learned something new in tech, I don't know, programming languages or some technologies, I want to tell anyone about this technology, even if I like it. And so blog is a good place where I can write about things which I learned and I can share it with anyone.
So sharing things that you learned is a good platform. Yeah, I agree. And let's pretend this is a mic.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
I write mostly about technology.
Like programming languages you learn?
No, not about programming languages. Mostly about some Google or Facebook perspectives for anyone. Also about education and about traveling. So mostly about my life, and I'm really dedicated about those three things.
So all kinds of innovation news that you're reading and other aspects of your life.
This piece of my work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all.
Conferences at work, yeah. Those are kinds of things you can write. You can also write your thoughts of things you learned and things you discovered. And well, probably most of you read blogs to learn some stuff. Go to conferences. Yeah, you can go to conferences to speak, or you can go to conferences to listen. If you want to go to conference to speak and you feel you don't have enough technical knowledge, more and more conferences are becoming open and diverse, and you can talk about your learning progress, or you can talk about diversity or about suggestions of improvements. I was just reading the tweets of the conference that was going on in New York last night, at Gotham Go, and there were talks about the community. And those are interesting talks because, well, it's there. If you ignore it, it's not the best thing to do. And if you talk about it, this is nice. And maybe a perspective of someone who is a beginner, this can be interesting. And open source projects, contribute to those. Anyone in the crowd contributing to open source projects? Oh, come on, more hands. You all should go and contribute. GitHub is the easiest way to do this. You don't need programming knowledge for this. You can do things like help update the description, or maybe contribute translation, but do your first things to maybe understand how Git works, and then slowly you can help with some typos, with basic functions, with maybe small improvements. And not noticing, like few months in, you're actually contributing code. And this is, in addition to giving you this really nice feeling, oh, I did something, this is also proper coding experience that you can then go and show in your portfolio if you ever want to apply somewhere. Plus, this can also be a good talk for a conference. Advanced. Anyone in the crowd would define themselves advanced? All those humble people, yeah. Lean in. Anybody heard on this program? Yeah, good. The bloggers heard about the program. Do you see the pattern? Do you see now the motivation of doing this? So this Sheryl Sandberg, who was part of several leading companies in the Silicon Valley, started this program or organization where she gives tips on things how to be an ally, which is good for guys who want to help for women to step into tech and maybe help realize that some situations are unpleasant and see what can you do about those. If you want to speak up for someone but you're not sure if you should or how you should, you can maybe as a woman help another woman by encouraging her, and many other tips. There's a whole book about this. This is a whole community around this. There are meetups around this. If any of you want to start the local chapter of this, just log in there. And yeah, write a blog as well. You can include your technical stuff once you feel advanced and you feel comfortable talking about this. But even if you then go and switch technology and become a beginner again, how I learn is actually really interesting. Because if you are a beginner and you want to see how you learn, you want such material that not tells you how to use this new library, but actually how to begin. And so as a beginner and as an advanced person, describing your learning process online is always interesting. Be a mentor. Be that person who someone comes and asks for tips. And yeah. I mean, you get good karma if you don't get anything else from that. Speak at conferences, any subject that you find interesting, and start your own open source project. See how many contributors you can get. It can be anything that you always said, oh, I really wish there was an app to do Go and start that app. Maybe a few more people find it interesting and they will join, and on the way maybe you can become their mentor. Maybe you'll become their mentee. Once you start collaborating, nice things happen. And this is Andrea and Mira. Those are also participants of our Women Techmakers Android study group. They have both finished the first session and successfully made an app. And this is them taking their next step of faith and going and talking at a conference called CodeMotion Berlin. They went and did the community stage where they, for 15 minutes, were describing the Women Techmakers community in Berlin. And that's a nice screenshot that they took from there. I felt really proud that moment. And this is like a rather mellow way, maybe, to step in tech conferences. And now, special surprise. Tam tam tam. So, y'all are getting a Women Techmakers chapter here in Russia, the first one, who is not only Women Techmakers, but also a Women Who Go chapter. And I would like to welcome to the stage Elena Grahovac for this.
Thank you, Natalie. No, it was great. I don't think it works, okay. I will continue in Russian, probably, okay. Да, всем привет, меня зовут Лена Граховец, и я очень рада, что наконец-то мы можем анонсировать techmakers в Новосибирске. Я знаю, что в Новосибирске очень большое IT-комьюнити среди девушек, в том числе и среди тех, кто готов поддерживать девушек. Я Go-разработчик. Ага, ну работает, ура! Я Go-разработчик, и я люблю очень Go, поэтому я бы хотела начать именно с комьюнити Women Who Go. Это комьюнити для девушек и всех, кто их поддерживает, не только для девушек, как сказала Натали. И, соответственно, это действительно хороший пример чего-то реального, с чего можно начать. Конечно же, мы можем использовать не только Go, мы можем использовать другие технологии, другие языки, опираясь на опыт других Women techmakers Group. Но самое главное — это объединиться, собраться и с чего-то начать. Я думаю, что на самом деле уже в декабре мы можем начать нашу первую встречу, что-то спланировать, вообще собраться, посмотреть, кто мы, какие у нас проблемы, какие мы хотим решать. У нас есть замечательная GDG-комьюнити в Новосибирске. Я думаю, что они, конечно же, будут нас поддерживать и будут анонсировать наши встречи, поэтому следите, пожалуйста, за GDG-группами. Можно подписаться на мой твиттер, я обязательно буду информировать о всех встречах там. И также на meetup.com вы можете присоединиться к группе Women Who Go Новосибирск и идти вместе с нами. Спасибо.
And thank you from the Silicon Alley. Join our Facebook group, and if you want to tweet, use those Twitters. Thank you very much. Anyone has questions, comments, thoughts?
Друзья, если у вас есть вопросы и вам нужен микрофон, поднимите руку, я вам подам его.
My what? Backend specialization. I'm doing Go. Our entire backend is in Go. I'm actually also doing the Golang meetup in Berlin. Well, thank you very much again.